Hi everybody, thank you for joining me today. My name is Chelsie Rai and I am an Early Outreach Worker and trained doula for the New Challenge Traffic Council Child News Services Department. I thought we would just take a few minutes today and talk about some alternative methods for feeding your baby when you've chosen not to or cannot breastfeed. So we're going to take a look at formula feeding and pumping breast milk. Alright, so there's a variety of reasons that people choose to collect breast milk for bottle feeding. It gives you the opportunity to share parenting time feeding your baby. It addresses supply issues. It gives you the ability to receive or give donor milk, and baby receiving breast milk when you're unable to nurse. So, for example, if you've gone out for a drink and then you need to feed the baby the next day, you have pumped stored milk, or maybe you're on a medication where you can't breastfeed, then you still have that milk collected. So there's a variety of ways where you can to collect your breast milk. There's hand expression, there's manual pumps, there's collectors, there's electric pumps. So if you take a look at my picture here, we have a single electric pump, that's this thing, which is just an electric pump on one side. A double electric pump would pump electronically, expressing on both sides at the same time, or simultaneously. This is a manual pump, so you put it on your breast and you squeeze the trigger. This is a milk collector, so these ones you could put in your nursing bra while you're feeding on one side, have it on the other side to collect your letdown. And the Haka, this thing, same thing. It can be used as a manual pump or a breast milk collector. So if you're feeding baby on one side, you can attach it to the other side, or you can squeeze this part here to manually collect some milk. These here are fairly new things. They're wearable breast pumps. There's the Willow and the Evie. I can't remember what it's called. It has no wires, no attachments, no big machines. It just fits into your bra, and similar to these ones, but it electronically collects your milk like it pumps. So yeah, and then there's manually hand expressing, which would be squeezing with your hands into a cup and then saving for later. Alright, pumping positions. In all honesty, the best position to pump in is however you are comfortable. That's what's best. Usually sitting up in an upright position is most effective, but if you need to lean back or whatever, walk around the house, whatever you need to do to get it done, it doesn't make that much of a difference. They do say, though, that relaxing and being at ease is essential to releasing the oxytocin, which stimulates your letdown. Avoiding discomfort and distractions because they can impede with the oxytocin process, which is the hormone that your brain releases when you're happy and satisfied, which in turn makes your milk come. Support your arms and back. Good support for pumping includes comfortable back support. You don't want to be hunching over. Support your arms. Comfort and relaxation is a must. Pumping bras are available for those moms who find sitting unrealistic because, let's all face it, we are moms, we are busy, and sometimes we just don't have the time to sit down and pump for 20 minutes. Alright, let's talk about storing our breast milk, like in the refrigerator or the freezer, and what the best practice is. So research says that the antioxidants and the other protective properties of breast milk are most important and beneficial to your baby when the breast milk is fresh. The protective components of breast milk decrease with refrigeration and freezing. That being said, stored breast milk is the next best thing to fresh breast milk as a complete and nutritious food source for your baby. Breast milk can be stored and then used in the following ways. You can keep it at room temperature for up to 4 hours. If the milk was collected under clean conditions, such as properly washed hands and properly cleaned pumps, it may be kept at room temperature for 6 to 8 hours, but sometimes that's a risk we just don't want to take. You can keep it in a cooler or a lunch kit with frozen ice packs, gel packs for up to 24 hours. It's good in the fridge for up to 72 hours, so 3 days. If the milk was collected again under clean conditions, it could be stored for up to 8 days, but that's sometimes just not a chance we want to take. And we know that breast milk is liquid gold, so not worth the risk of it spoiling and going bad. If you put it in your fridge freezer, it can be there for up to 6 months. And in the deep freezer, the big freezers, for up to 12 months. Never refreeze thawed milk. Never use thawed milk and then refrigerate milk after 24 hours. Use a microwave oven for warming milk. Don't do that. Microwaves heat unevenly, creating hot spots that can burn your baby's mouth and your throat. The best way to heat up the frozen breast milk is in a cup of hot water, still in the bag, or letting it thaw in the fridge. There is very little research about how safe it is to refrigerate and reuse breast milk left over from a previous feeding. Many experts say it's best to throw away any breast milk left in the bottle after feeding because bacteria from the baby's mouth when they're sucking on the nipple can sometimes pass through, and then you're not sure if the rest of your bottle is contaminated. A few more tips on storing your breast milk safely. Make sure you wash your hands before pumping and handling your milk. Make sure that your storage containers are clean. They don't need to be sterile, but you need to wash them in hot soapy water or the dishwasher. Plastic bottle liners and small lip lock bags can be used for storage, held upright in cups, or you could lay them down flat. Make sure the bags are sturdy and stored in a place where they won't get punctured. If you plan to freeze your milk, allow a little space at the top of the bag. The milk will expand when it freezes, which is also important to put date on. That way you know which milk to use first and when to get rid of milk you haven't used. Milk from both breasts expressed during the same session can be combined into one container. It is best to use a container that holds enough milk for one feeding. You are less likely to have to discard unused milk. So basically what it's saying is each session you pump, combine that milk, throw it in the fridge or the freezer and freeze it. But what you don't want to do is take like all your pumpings from a whole day and freeze 30 ounces altogether in one bag, because then you have to thaw 30 ounces at a time, and there's a chance that you're not going to be able to use it all in one time or all in one day. For the most consistent temperature control, store milk at the back of the refrigerator or the freezer. When thawing or warming breast milk, run warm water over the storage container, which may be a bottle or a plastic bag, until the milk becomes slushy. You can then heat the container gently in a pot of warm water on the stove until the milk is slightly warm to the touch. Frozen breast milk will separate because the fat floats to the top. This separation is normal and does not mean that the milk has spoiled or is otherwise unusable. After thawing your milk, shake the container gently and the fat will redistribute evenly. Some other things to think about when pumping is that it should not hurt. If you feel uncomfortable when you're expressing or you notice blisters or chafing on your nipple, try reducing the breast pump suction. Also make sure you're using the right size of breast shield. A badly fitting breast shield can reduce the amount of milk you express, which is why they come in different sizes. If the discomfort continues after you've tried these tips, stop pumping and ask a lactation consultant or a nurse for breastfeeding or a breastfeeding specialist for advice. This is the most important thing I want all moms to know. The amount you pump is not a good indicator of your supply. A baby with a good latch is much more effective at getting milk out of the breast than a pump. Some women don't respond well to a pump, but still have a healthy milk supply and create plenty of milk for the baby. So sometimes a woman is trying to pump, maybe she's using a manual pump, maybe she's using electric, and all she gets is half an ounce and she thinks that's it. I can't breastfeed, I don't have any milk. Not true at all. Your baby's jaw is so much stronger, and what your baby can get from your breast is way different than what a pump can get. And you've got to move milk to make milk, which means the more you pump, the more you feed, the bigger supply you'll have. All right. Things that can impact pumping. Hydration. We can produce milk with the minimal diet, but we cannot produce milk without water. Drink lots and lots and lots and lots of water. That's why we get so thirsty when we're pumping or breastfeeding. Sleep. Well-rested moms tend to produce significantly more milk. I know, easier said than done when you have a newborn or a baby, but it's really important for your milk supply. Hormones. Our hormonal chemistry, pregnancy, ovulation, periods can trigger changes that impact supply. Time. Make sure you are at least pumping at 15 minutes on each side. And your diet. Carbs are great for milk production. Carbonated and caffeinated drinks, not so much. All right, formula feeding. If you are formula feeding your baby already, you know how expensive it is. If you haven't yet done so, let me tell you, babies consume anywhere from 10 to 32 ounces a day. If you had 6 5-ounce bottles a day, that would take approximately 4 large cans of formula a month. One can of formula can range from $18 to $50 depending on brand and quality. That means formula can cost anywhere from $60 to $200 a month depending on the type you choose. And I tell you, this gets more and more as they get bigger, and sometimes you are going through a can of formula in 2 or 3 days. There are a variety of kinds of formula. There's cow's milk protein, soy-based formulas, and hydrolyzed protein, which means water-based protein, and it's basically like a hypoallergenic, no milk proteins. Yeah, formula comes in powder, liquid, and ready to use. Okay. Choosing a bottle. There's no expert-approved gold standard baby bottle. Basically, it comes down to which ones work well for you and one for your baby. Bottles come in all types of materials, like plastic, silicone, glass, and now stainless steel. They come in different shapes. They have standard, angled, and wide. They have small bottles, which are 4 ounces, and large, which are 8 ounces. They have different nipple shapes. Some are flat, some are rounded. Nipple levels, they have different flow levels. So a newborn might have a 0 or a level 1, which is a really slow drip, drip, drip flow. And then I think it goes all the way up to a 4 or a 5, which would be like a steady stream. Bottles have different extras, like some of them advertise venting, anti-colic, they mimic the breast. Some bottles have the plastic disposable liners. There's so many out there, and if you've ever walked down that bottle aisle in a grocery store, you'd know that. And sometimes it just takes trial and error to find the right bottle that works for you or your baby. So avoid stocking up on one type of bottle before you know, because you don't know if they'll give it maybe like 2 or 3 feeds, it's working really good, and then all of a sudden it just stops. They don't like it anymore. So start out with a few, try a few different types. And remember to keep an eye on the nipple and replace them if they show signs of wear and tear, because they get thin, become sticky, discolored, cracked, and torn, and then it becomes a choking hazard. Just a couple of bottle feeding positions here. This is the most common one, I would say. You're just holding the baby kind of sitting up and your arms cradling them. Another option is laying them in your lap and feeding them. There's also like a sideline bottle feeding position. I've never seen anybody use it in all my life, but if you're interested in that, you can look it up a little more. And never, ever, ever prop your baby's bottle up. I know it's convenient and we want to be hands-free all the time, but it's really taking away from that attachment that you are building with your baby when you're feeding them. And that's something that sometimes needs a little bit more support when you're not breastfeeding. And it's also really bad for their teeth, like it can cause decay, and then you're at a risk also for choking when they can't turn their heads away because it's propped up. And when we're not holding them, we would miss those cues. Nipple confusion is when a baby becomes fussy of breast or when given a bottle when breastfeeding is not yet well established. A different technique is used by the baby to get milk from a bottle, like I said earlier, than it is for a baby to get it from the breast. Medical professionals say that this method is sometimes easier for them. So it's easier for them to get the milk from a bottle than it is from the breast, because they don't have to work as hard. This is a controversial topic, though, and not necessarily agreed upon by all. If you feel passionate about not giving your baby a soother or a bottle for top-up, make sure you let the nurses know your wishes at the hospital. Topping up. Topping up is when we give a breastfed baby additional milk, usually formula or pumped milk, after a feed. Healthcare providers find this necessary for a variety of reasons, such as low milk supply, insufficient latch, and baby not gaining enough weight. Keep in mind that topping up unnecessarily may affect your milk supply. So topping up the baby to keep them sleeping longer is not needed. Feeding more times during the night can help increase supply. And when you are trying to top them up to have them sleep through the night, you're missing those night feeds, which is, impacting your supply. Frequent feeding doesn't necessarily mean your baby isn't getting enough. There's a thing called cluster feeding where babies just want to eat and eat and eat and eat in a growth spurt, and this doesn't mean they're not getting enough. It's just something they do when they're growing. If babies need to be supplemented, other alternatives like a feeding cup, syringe, or a supplemental nursing system are available options. Expressed milk or donor's milk can also be offered as an alternative to formula for top-up. That's everything. I feel like that actually went pretty quick. I hope that was enough information for you. If not, if you need more or have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. My phone number and my email address are on the screen here. All right, everybody, have a good day. Thanks. Bye.